I going to die? Yes.
Well, here we are. Just me and all of you. And together we will try and find an answer to the question, is Neverwinter dying? I'm sure as soon as I asked this question, the instant response for most of you was most likely yes. Yes, it is. And judging by the community poll responses, that seems to be the case, and I'm not just making this up. The main reason I created this specific video with this specific topic is because it's been bugging me, and I'm sure it's been bugging all of you too. It's been bugging me just like that scratch on the roof of your mouth that would stop eventually bugging you if you could just stop tonguing it. But since I am incapable of doing that, my only choice is to find a solution. I have asked this question multiple times before at random times during my Neverwinter journey, and the most common response by players is, it's already dead, or the game died a long time ago. What is considered a dead game anyways? In general terms, a game is considered dead when it's no longer played by the general public. This is especially true in mmorpgs, where the active player participation is the lifeblood of the game itself. If you don't have anyone playing, then there is nothing to play even if you wanted to. There are various reasons you can consider a game dead depending on perspective. But in a literal sense, dead is when you have no one to play with. In the gaming world, the term dead is often reactionary and used out of resentment, anger, pain, or frustration that a player feels because the game has in some way disappointed them. You know, let them down, hurt them, banned them, or changed in some way that they don't agree with, thus making them feel cheated out of their time invested in possibly real-life money. Players will often feel disappointed because change takes them out of their daily routine gameplay, or changes their game plans due to changes drastically altering their character progression, and even backtracking them. And backtracking is an actual game model, even though that is probably not the correct terminology for what they are doing. It's just the word I'm choosing to use to get my point across. So like I was saying, they backtrack you so they can make money. For example, you reach a certain point in progression and they make a change that forces you to get even more new items, so you can be up to date with all the new gear and stay on top and hang out with all the cool kids. When this happens, it usually involves gear or items you have to earn through in-game activities, and some of those items inevitably will be placed in the cash shop, or there will be some sort of currency that you can buy with real-life money, or a pack that will fast-track you more than someone else who doesn't pay real money. A simple example was the new enchantment changes, where you needed coalescent motes, 32 of them to be exact, to get them maxed out. They had multiple sales of 3 coalescent mote packs in the Zen store shortly after the change was applied. While there is nothing wrong with a gaming company wanting to make money, there is something fundamentally wrong with creating little to no content, while at the same time having a lot, and I mean a lot, of unresolved like bugs, balancing issues, and much more, and expecting players to spend money on the game that has so many flaws and busted coding. Players by nature like supporting games who provide them with the entertainment and satisfaction that they need. Because like it or not, games are considered a form of drug and addiction. Satisfy the gaming needs of the addicted, and they will in turn support your game to keep that addiction going. The game of Neverwinter seems to have no vision, no clear plan as to what the game is supposed to be. This is clearly obvious when you look at how suddenly game reworks have materialized and how erratic everything has been. Simple examples for this are, we had no roadmaps for years, then we had some, now we don't have them again, and now they are coming back. Another indicator, at least for me, that the game has no vision is how they tackle in-game content and how they release them. New content, whether it's a full campaign, an event, a dungeon, or a trial, is always released with a variety of bugs. While some bugs are normal and expected, the sheer amount that Neverwinter deals with almost every new module released is staggering. Another indicator of no clear vision is how often they change executive producers. That for sure means something is not going right for them. They have also systematically neglected in-game content. There are examples of that everywhere you look. The strongholds have been collecting dust for years with no updates. Everything there is outdated. The only thing sort of worth it is marauders and maybe some occasional dragon flights. But beyond that, strongholds actually feels like a ghost town. Zones also feel neglected because they never get an upgrade, and I will never forgive them for removing the old Sharandar. That place was truly a gem. They also have neglected dungeons, skirmishes, and trials. They are typically good on release with loot you might need and items you could sell to earn in-game currencies, but after 1 or 2 modules, they are rendered useless and not worth running anymore for profit or to gear up. They are never upgraded as a whole, and the loot stays irrelevant. The only reason some of the dungeons are even worth doing is only because of the random queue system. If that didn't exist, nobody would run them except for new players. The clear killing off of PvP, even though there was a very strong PvP community for years, was tragic. Even if you don't like PvP as a whole, that doesn't take away from it having a fan base that clearly only played Neverwinter for the PvP aspect of it, and they also spent real-life money to stay relevant, which in turn made them an active part of the Neverwinter community as a whole. Once reliant everyday in-game activities have just faded away, like masterworks or mastercrafting. The problem with Neverwinter and why it can possibly be dying is because nothing is ever kept relevant. It feels like after something is released, it then just gets forgotten. You can't just plant a seed to grow a flower and then not water it or give it the attention it needs and deserves to grow. It will simply eventually die. It's the perfect analogy or metaphor for this game. I am aware that they have done some good things here and there, but that isn't enough. Some good things simply doesn't cut it anymore. What Neverwinter needs to do is address the real issues and the real problems to keep people playing, or even get players to come back. Quick examples of what players want is a rework of the strongholds. Rework the loot system as well, and while you're at it, for God's sakes remove that black and jaw dumbass gear from dungeon chests, and anything else irrelevant. Balance the gear. Treat all classes equally. Add content that keeps us busy while at the same time rewarding us for our time invested. Fix the backlog or try to by finding new ways to cure the economy. Give us new ways to earn Astral Diamonds. Remove Astral Diamond caps altogether. And while you're at it, remove scaling. Upgrade all dungeons and make them all relevant again. And I know 90% of these won't happen due to time limitations. Cryptic is on a timeline to release new modules constantly. So if anything takes away from the development of modules, then they simply won't do it. It's that simple. And they have even stated that on community streams. So it's not like I had a eureka moment. So to answer the main question, is Neverwinter dying? Let's first look at the Steam charts. I have no way of seeing how many play from Arc, so Steam charts will have to do. And regardless of that, they are an indicator of the current player base trends. So as you can see, Neverwinter ever since launch in 2013 hasn't been a juggernaut of activity and player base. And I have no clue where they came up with this 16 million accounts or 6 million. That is totally beyond me and totally fabricated. Neverwinter had an all-time high of 14,000 players at peak level on Steam and has been dropping ever since with the occasional spikes whenever a module is released. So in this sense, if you ask the question, is Neverwinter dying? Then yes, it is slowly but surely bleeding out players and dying. Neverwinter has never until recently ever gone below 1,000 average players daily. So clearly there is something wrong and needs to be addressed quickly or it will just get worse. Players are getting fed up and losing interest for various reasons, and as individuals we all have different reasons why we stay or why we leave a game. I don't agree that the game is already dead though, because I know there will always be a hardcore player base who will keep playing. So to say it's already dead is not factual, just a term used by players who have been hurt by the game or mad at the game for ruining their experience. And it's their opinion, and who are we to judge it? And they have a right to feel that way, so they lash out by saying it's already dead. The game is definitely heading in the wrong direction though, nobody can deny that. And it's a shame because the people who watch this video and who play the game love the game. I mean, it does have an amazing combat system even after the Module 16 major overhaul. Even if it isn't as good, it's still better than most games. Neverwinter, in my opinion, is dying and has been dying since it was released. The point is, will it die off completely? With time, eventually the game will cease to exist, which is normal for everything, not just games. But is it going to be dead anytime soon? I personally don't think so. The game will be kept on life support for at least a few more years, or maybe more. It just depends on what Cryptic does to make it better or worse. The devs are actively creating content and working. Regardless if you like their work or not, they are far from being inactive, thus the game is not dead. And as long as there are those of us who still play the game, it's not going to die. The only way this game will ever die is if everybody stops playing it, or if they pull the plug like Jack Kevorkian and put Neverwinter to sleep forever. Until then, the game will be dying constantly and will be on life support. Unless, of course, they create a cure and revive it. I could say so much more, but I think I got my point across. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm truly interested in what you think. Galactic here. Peace out. Stay safe.